Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and we want to give our usual shout out of appreciation to our patrons. We appreciate all those tips and support. Hope you guys enjoyed the exclusive videos for you guys for this week. If you're curious about it, go ahead and check the description down below. And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. Oh, real quick, if you have any suggestions of things you would like us to film or any questions or a strategy you would like us to take a look at and put on film for you, by all means email us at sincitylivinglv@gmail.com. We really like doing these for you guys. Speaking of which, today we're doing a strategy sent to us. So going into these cold like I usually do, so let me go ahead and bring up the email and take a look. And let's see here. There it is. Okay, so says they usually played a $25 table with a $5,000 buy-in, but they're scaling this one down to a $15 table with a $3,000 buy-in. Okay, fair enough. And let's see. So for the come-out rolls, the player will do a $15 don't pass. They will do, and then they will do a $150 no 10 and a $150 no 4. So we throw a couple lay buttons on these. This is going to be a $7 vig. Each one of these, you know, this vig is actually going to depend on the casino, to be honest. Each one of these pays $75. So individually, by itself, if someone were to just do a no 10 for $150, we would charge them a $4 vig. But when people do multiple lays, we combine their pay. Most casinos, well, they should combine their payouts and run the vig off of that. So combined, these two lays will pay $150 total, which actually has a courtesy buy involved in there for most places. So we would generally only charge $7 on that vig. So they have to throw in $7 right away. So it says if a 7 rolls, you lose your don't pass, of course, but you win these. They're saying a $6 vig. That's wrong. It's either going to be 7 or 8. So they would lose the DP, but they would win the rest. And then they would same bet it, so they would just repeat it. For 2 or 3 rolls, of course, they win on the don't pass. If at 11 rolls, they lose over there. 12 is no harm, no foul. And the rest is setting a point. So if a 5, 6, 8, or 9 rolls, anything on the inside, this says that they will do a $90 lay. As a dealer, I'm a huge fan of lays that are in units of 30, because that works for any and all numbers, and it's very easy to pay. So a $90 lay would work for any number. So they do a $90 lay, and then they put $15 don't come. Now, if a 4 or 10 rolls, they of course lose their lay, but they're going to do a $300 lay. So if a 10 were to roll, they would lose this, but they would do $300 right there. Okay, so actually a situation like this is interesting, because this right here washes. If there was an immediate point out, like a 10 followed by a 7, this loses, but this wins. But they already lost this, so that would win 150, which is what the lay was. This would win 15, which is what's right here. They're down the vig, but then they win over here. So there's still going to be a plus right there. Now, come the second roll, the don't come is going to travel. And I'm just scrolling through because this is extremely long. Okay, this is the gist of it. Basically, what they are doing is they are running a 3-point DC, a 3-point molly on the don't come. Looks like 3-point, 2-point molly or 3-point molly. Okay, so first roll, second roll, third roll. Okay, they're basically running a 2-point molly on the don't come. If you include the don't pass, they're running a 3-point don't molly. with these just kind of being an outlier and an extra on it. So it's relatively basic because everything that they do, they replace. If something comes down, they replace it within the first 4 rolls. After the 4th roll, they only repeat their lay bets, and at that point, they actually increase them to $400. $400, no 4s, no 10s. So yeah, so this is a lay the 4-10 and a 3-point don't molly system. There's the only real primary issue that I have with it is just looking at the email. They kind of make this sort of overcomplicated. This was, or at least when they think they're if this, but this, you can actually just eliminate all of that and just go, okay, it's a 3-point molly system. It's a 2-point don't come molly system with a don't pass, and then adding in a lay on the 4 and 10. I have seen this kind of strategy played quite a few times, actually. And like any strategy, it's got its inherent weaknesses. Overall, this is actually a relatively strong strategy because I'm not saying it's stronger than a come bet strategy or a place bets across strategy, but it is a strong strategy, equally strong to them because it actually makes sense. It doesn't do a lot of competing bets. It doesn't do any competing bets. It picks a side and it sticks with it. That's generally the best way to go with dice. Pick a side and stick with it. Can't hit a moving target. So when you're constantly jumping sides or you're doing competing bets diminish what you can win, oftentimes turning it into an incredibly slow slog and grind. Whereas jumping back and forth, again, can't hit a moving target. It makes it very, very difficult. So this picks a side, it sticks with it, and it really goes for it. It's going to have times where it loses. It's going to have times where it wins. It's going to have a lot more times where it wins than loses. But when it takes those losing hits, it's going to take big hits. So it takes more wins than losses just to break even. But this is the kind of strategy that like I said, I see this all the time. It's a strong strategy. If you catch the table at the right time, this is the kind of strategy where you buy in for a pretty decent sized bankroll. Say you buy in for $1,500 or $3,000. Let's say you buy in for $3,000. And 20, 30, 40 minutes into it, depending on how the dice are going, you could very legitimately have $4,000 to $5,000 sitting in front of you. I see it all the time. The problem that I see is when people don't walk away. If you're going to play a strategy like this, set yourself a backstop. Set yourself how much you want to win and walk away. If you start with 3,000 and you notice you've got 4,500 in front of you, don't think that if you keep playing that you're guaranteed to have 6,000 in front of you, or if you increase your bets by 50%, you're going to win 2,250 instead of 1,500. It just doesn't work that way. The dice will balance each other. They'll balance themselves out over time with the table, and you're going to end up giving it all back. I don't see people that play any strategy that will win long term if they continue playing after they have hit their winning point. So after they've hit the point where they are up a decent amount, say at least 50% if you've got a multi-$1,000 buy-in, or 2 or 3 times your buy-in if you've only got a $100 or $200 buy-in. If you hit that point where you've won a bunch of money, and this strategy can win you a bunch of money, and it can do it relatively quickly, within 30 minutes to an hour for sure, walk away. If you keep playing, you will give it all back, or at least give back your profit. So overall, I like the strategy. It's a decent strategy. It makes sense. Other players are not going to like this strategy unless you have other don't players or players with a really good sense of humor. I was playing dice one night at a local casino where one side of the table were all playing the pass line and come bets. The other side of the table were all playing the don't pass and don't come bets. It was like sitting at a tennis match as the dice were going, because both sides of the table were like opposite teams. It was pretty funny, but they were all good-natured about it because they knew they were just betting what they think the dice are going to come. They weren't betting against each other. They were just betting how they think the dice were going to come. And everyone had a good sense of humor, and it was really good natured. It was actually a lot of fun to play in that table. And it was strange because of the amount of money that people were playing. I mean, most of the lays, most of the don'ts were multi-thousands, $500 flat don't $500 DC and say a $2,400 lay kind of stuff. And then on the other side, same thing. You'd have $300, $400, $500 bets with $2,000, $3,000 in odds. It was really odd to see so much good nature on that side, because usually when people take big hits like that, it's because somebody's gonna lose on in a situation like that when both sides are playing on opposite sides of the dice. But everyone was having a lot of fun with it, and it was very good natured. So this is definitely a strategy you could play. Some, depending on the table, people are going to look at you odd, but just because they don't like the don'ts. But it's a strong strategy. This will win you money in the short term, as long as you catch the table at the right time. This can also lose you money very, very quickly. One shooter can annihilate you for thousands, really. And every night there's at least one shooter per shift that would annihilate something like this. But again, like I said, I like the strategy. It's a good strategy. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys find this interesting. Please send us any strategies that you may have, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.